What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Tuesday, a victory Tuesday. The Tennessee Titans get a big-time, much-needed win last night in Miami. They do more than that. They score 30-plus points for the first time in 1,002 days as Will Levis gets hurt early. Mason Rudolph comes in and does enough. The Titans' run game and defense beat Tyler Huntley, the backup quarterback, the third-string quarterback, and the Miami Dolphins. 31-12, that final score. And we are here to discuss the 1-3 Tennessee Titans going into a bye week. And oh man, do we have a quarterback, air quote, controversy discussion on our hands for the next week and a half before the Titans' next game at home against the Colts. Going to have an incredible conversation here this morning between Zach and I. So Zach, we'll throw some shade at the end of the show because it is a Tuesday, even though it might feel like a Monday because the Titans played on Monday Night Football. But I've got shade locked and loaded. It is a football shade. It is a broadcast shade. And it's not what everybody's going to expect me to say because I already threw shit on that last week. So we'll talk about this big-time win for the Titans. But welcome in. Hope you enjoyed the weekend and also that Titans game last night.
I have a controversial shade. That will, I think, create some sort of discussion because I know for a fact not everyone will agree. I don't know if you'll agree. I don't know your stance on it of how much you care about it, but it is controversial. So we've got a lot to get into. Throwing shade. We've got Titans, Dolphins. We got Will Levis. So we'll let everybody pile in. And as we do, we will ask everybody to watch our show on 3 different platforms in the best way that you choose, including our Twitter handle where we'll tweet out segment by segment. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. When we tweet out at A to Z Sports, follow us there. If you're a Titans fan, if you're an NFL fan, follow our other Twitter account at A to Z Sports NFL. That is our company-wide X handle, Twitter handle, whatever you want to call it. So good follows there. On YouTube, easiest way to take in these live streaming shows, whether it's prime time with Buck Rising Sunday through Thursday nights, or it's our morning show Monday through Friday, or game day shows, which are pregame, halftime, postgame show, which you saw Easton and Sam last night. That's the best way to do it is YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Go to YouTube, search A to Z Sports Nashville, hit the subscribe button. And then if you've already subscribed, ring the bell. Have the bell icon, which will give you live alerts when we go live. And if you've already done both of that, then you can like this video, and that will help distribute the show where it needs to in the YouTube algorithm. And that is appreciative. So we got a lot to get to on a victory Tuesday, this is the first victory any day of the season when talking about the Titans. But on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe, like, and hit that bell. Facebook, what's going on? Facebookers, bottom left corner of your screen. Share now to public. Sharing is caring, and caring is sharing. As we say on this show, share the show around. We need to pop up in your Facebook friends news feed. So share the show around. And, man, let's get this party started on a Tuesday. Got lots to get into. I'm curious to see what the chat's reaction with all the things that went down last night, plus another Monday night game. Then London is on the horizon. Then you had Brazil. All these different things. We're now starting to settle into the NFL football season. So let's get this thing going.
Let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. That's at A to Z Sports. Also follow us all across social media, Instagram, TikTok, Threads as well. Gotta thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai, wilsoncountyhyundai.com for your next car buying process. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with your health coverage and do that by getting a quote, visiting our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ. And TDOT, be part of the solution to help keep Tennessee beautiful. Nobody Trashes Tennessee to end littering across the state. Their website, nobodytrashestennessee.com. Well, welcome to October. It is October 1st. The Titans are 1-3 after getting a win on Monday Night Football over the Dolphins, 31-12, breaking the 30-pointless streak from 39 games, 37 games. I believe the last time the Titans scored 30 points, which is also a win over the Dolphins. The Dolphins have lost their last 3 games against the Titans. But let's hear from Brian Callahan, the first-time head coach, on his first official win as an NFL head coach last night after the game.
Really big shout out to Nick Folk, going 5 for 5 on field goals today, hitting from 53, 52, 51, 47, and 29. That's a good day's work for the old man, making some big plays there for us. We needed all the points we could get. That was really good. I thought our defense did a great job. I think they held them to 70-something yards in the first half. They're playing with a backup quarterback, and that's what you're supposed to do to teams that are playing like that. And our guys stepped up, got our first turnover. And I'll let you guys ask what you want to ask from there.
I guess for starters, how good you feel
I don't know if I can put it into words for you. It feels great. Most importantly, because our guys deserve it. These guys work hard. They practice hard. They do everything right. They deserve to win. I felt like, we practice like we're a 3-0 team. I said it at the end of the week. The way our guys practice and focus is fantastic. And to be short on these couple games to start was disappointing. So for them, they deserve it. It feels great. It's good to see some smiles, some energy. And I thought we played a really good game tonight.
They did play a good game. 31-12 final score. Zach, we always do our one word in the post-game show. I was on the post-game show last night. That was Sam and Easton. And so now we both get to do our one words the next morning. My one word for last night's win, Zach, is extending, because the Titans just extended a little bit of the life of the season. Because a week ago, I was like, this team is 0-3. This fan base is on the brink of doing something else with their fall Sundays. But now they've extended it a little bit because they got to win right before a bye week where they have a division opponent coming to their stadium in the Colts next week. And you've got a conversation and a discussion to be had about the quarterback position. So overall, the Titans extending their lives last night in this season by getting a much-needed must-have win, because 0-4 going into a bye week would have been as dreadful as you possibly could have drawn it up. But 1-3 going into the bye week, you feel a lot different this morning after a win. So that's my one word, extending.
Well, and, looking at the chat, and I know you guys did this last night on the postgame show, but the first 2 words from Bustin' Diamond and Travion, relief. I feel like that's not my word, but I do feel like that's a lot of Titans fans' word.
And like, I've said this for about a week now. I think the fan base needed this. And Sam and I did the show yesterday. We talked about the Derrick Henry stuff because of what happened on Sunday Night Football and the King being vintage King Derrick Henry. And the chat's been on edge, to say the least, for like the last 8, 7, 10 days. And I think that the relief from the chat, like I think we can see people exhale a little bit too. So it was definitely very, very needed for this fan base and for that locker room, I'm sure too.
Well, and here's what's tough for Brian Callahan. No one cares how you practice. No one cares that you're practicing like a 3-0 team. What they care about is the record. And to what you said is extended, I think we've all said this to kind of start the year. The Titans' season-long goal should be and should have been and is to just be alive with 3 games left to go in the season. That's all the Titans. They weren't going to have this miraculous undefeated start. They weren't going to go 7-0. They weren't going to go, 8-2. They weren't going to do that. They didn't have the talent. They didn't have the structure. They weren't going to start off that way. They didn't have the schedule. But what the schedule did give them is an opportunity to just stay alive and get within a puncher's chance. That's what they say, right? Because one punch can knock somebody out. That's a true boxing term. And I think through the season, as you look through the lens of where the Titans team is with a young quarterback and a young head coach and trying to grow throughout the season, all their goal was is just to be in it with 3 games left, because those 3 games are divisional games, and that's where you can really disrupt some things, because those divisional teams can fall back if you beat them in the last 3 weeks of the season. So
Yeah, sure.
I think all the words that we've said, I think, are probably valid to a degree. I'm going to go with a word that I think is described in 3 ways. And I think the most important way is the last point that I'll get to. But my one word is impactful. Last night was impactful. I think we just discussed of just extending the season and what you said. But what did it do? It got them at least like in the hunt, right, of this bad division. The Texans proved that they can lose, and they almost lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars at home last week.
Yes, they
should have. Exactly.
Yes.
If you watch that game, they should have. You have the Jags that are 0-4 and down on their luck, and you know, you could look at it through both ways of like, man, the Texans kind of took a little bit of a leap forward within the division, but they could have killed the Jags with that win, being 0-4. And look, you can sit there and measure. There's a lot of season left. And then the Colts are sitting there with very similar. I mean, they're similar in the sense of they've got a backup quarterback in Joe Flacco, Mason Rudolph, that they know can win games, but they know it is not the future, right? They really want their young quarterback to thrive. So impactful because it got the Titans back into the AFC conversation. I think the second thing is impactful because it put Brian Callahan in the win column. It took the old Steve Young monkey off of his back. They weren't trying, because seeing is believing. And Brian Callahan, if you're preaching all offseason, all training camp, all preseason for the first 3 games of the season saying, trust me, you've got to see it to believe it. And I thought that was impactful for this team to get Brian Callahan's first win. Now, the third, which I think is the most important, and I want to go to Brian Callahan on Will Levis's shoulder, and I'll tell you why impactful is the word that I chose, and it actually goes back to something I said last week.
Will hurt his shoulder on that scramble on 3rd down, tried to come back. It was bothering him, ended up doing what he had to do to try to get back in the game, and ultimately I knew what kind of game it was going to be with the bye week next week. Didn't want to expose him to any further risk. He tried everything he could to go, but it was bothering him pretty significantly on his shoulder, so made a decision to hold him out. Same thing with Jeff. Jeff's elbow was bothering him with the bye week backed up. It made the most sense to rest him for the week and give him 1 more week after that to be ready to roll for the long term, as opposed to trying to force it back for this particular game. So the rest kind of factored into both of those decisions at this point, and hopefully that answers those questions.
I think I'm going to say the most important thing that I will say this year. I think last night could be the best thing that ever happened to Will Levis. I said last week, Will Levis was going to have to get hurt to learn his lesson. He was playing erratic. He was playing with no inhibition to the wind. And if you remember, and I'm on this show once a week, so if the chat, I'm on the show after the games. I said this last week. It's going to take him to get hurt for him to sober up. He needed to take something away from this young quarterback. And what did they take away from him? Playing time. And how did it happen? Because he was trying too hard to get the first down. I think he got the first down. They didn't give him the first down. That's a whole nother case.
I think Brian Callahan did not challenge that first down call because he knew Will Levis hurt his shoulder.
Probably so.
Yeah. Yes.
I think this could be the best thing that ever happened to Will Levis, because you know what it should do? Will Levis burnt his hand on the oven. And for 3 weeks, Daddy's been telling him, don't do it. Don't touch the mother effing oven. And 3 weeks in a row, he touched it. Well, the burn healed. Touched it again, the burn healed. Last night, the burn didn't heal because he didn't go back in that football game. Best thing that could have happened to Will Levis. Now, whether he'll turn out to be a great quarterback or improve or actually stop touching the effing oven, I don't know. But I enjoyed seeing Will Levis on the sidelines. And I'm not saying physically hurting. He was obviously physically hurting. I enjoyed seeing him emotionally hurt because he wanted to be in that football game. But I think he lost control and he realized the coach tells who goes in that game. Will Levis, I think, could have played. I think, and Brian Callahan spoke on that. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
I think this could be the best thing that happens to Will Levis in his young career.
I don't disagree, Zach. I think that's a very well put statement. I think there's a lot of things that happened last night that have a immediate and long-term impacts on the Titans franchise. And that's, your one word was impactful. Pretty spot on. All right, let's get the chat more involved here this morning. A lot of really good comments so far. Also, make sure you hit that like button too. But let's ask this question. Which quarterback gives the Titans the best chance to win? Will Levis or Mason Rudolph? Which quarterback gives the Titans the best chance to win? Flat out, best chance to win between Will Levis or Mason Rudolph, because Mason Rudolph came in, threw for 85 yards, completed 1 out of 3 passes attempts for 5 yards in the second half, and they ran the football a bunch to a 31-12 victory. But which quarterback gives the Titans the best chance to win? Will Levis or Mason Rudolph? We'll get to all of you guys' comments here in a second. But T-Dot is where you should turn to help clean up Tennessee, to help keep Tennessee beautiful. There's over 88 million pieces of litter on Tennessee's roadways last night. And there was one extra piece of litter on South Beach last night when Will Levis turned the football over in the first quarter. But you can keep Tennessee beautiful by changing the way you go about your life with not littering, picking up the litter when you see it, and joining the local cleanups with T-Dot to help keep Tennessee beautiful. You can learn all about it by going to nobodytrashestennessee.com. T-Dot literally spends over $23 million a year to clean up the litter, and it's still a massive problem. So be a part of the solution like we all can. This is a great opportunity. If you've got kids, want to have them get out and help the community, help the environment, educational aspect as well to this. Join T-Dot's campaign of Nobody Trashes Tennessee. It's October 1st. It's a great time to get out there with the weather getting a little less hot for you to go out and join a local cleanup today in your area by visiting nobodytrashestennessee.com.
A to Z Sports, we are powered by BetMGM. We love BetMGM. You can win some money off BetMGM. I want a little bit of cash, a little bit of coin off of Tony P with rushing attempts and rushing yards. That was a good day. I also cleaned up a little bit for Detroit and Seattle in the late night game, thanks to a backdoor. It wasn't a bad beat. It was a good win on my part in that last game. But I thank you to BetMGM. We give credit where credit is due. Thank you to Tennessee. They're the sports book born in Vegas, but are right here in the state of Tennessee. If you are new to BetMGM, sign up with using the bonus code ATOZ Sports. That's all one word, ATOZ Sports.
All right, Zach, I will send you to the chat. Which quarterback gives the Titans the best chance to win? Will Levis or Mason Rudolph? The stats, one more time. Will Levis, only 4 attempts, 3 for 4 passing, 25 yards in. That one incompletion was the interception. He threw it right to the guy. He did run the ball twice for 5 yards, got hurt on his shoulder diving for that first down. Mason Rudolph, 9 of 17 passing the football, just 1 of 3 in the second half for a total of 85 yards and was sacked 1 time. No touchdowns, no picks. Titans win 31-12. Which quarterback gives the Titans the best chance to win? What's the chat saying here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch?
All right, a lot of different answers, and we start with number 11. Now, number 11 is not number 8. Number 11 is Mason Rudolph, the backup quarterback. So Ramon's coming in hot with the backup. Daniel says Levis. Steve says Levis. Steven says Mason Rudolph, big time. Mason Rudolph from Curtis. A couple of Levises coming in from James and Jake. Willie Madden says Rudolph. Burning Devils says Levis. Mason from Fired. Levis from Brock. Rudolph from Kicks Good. Levis from Kevin. Rudolph from Alex. IR says Levis. Rudolph, duh, from Vanessa. A couple of Levises coming in from Karen, Chris, and Maven. right there. But Cap says Mason, and NC Gamer Dad says Rudolph. John says Mason Rudolph. I mean, this thing is a 50-50 split. Rudolph, apparently. Rudolph, no question. Will Levis from Patrick Bird. Levis from Mark D. Rudy, which means Mason Rudolph, from Jeremy. Levis, 100 from Sean. Unfortunately, Richie goes with Rudolph. I mean, this thing is neck and neck. Mason from John, Levis from DeMario. It's Mason from Steven. Rudolph from Nick, Rudolph from Major Keys, Rudolph from Lane. Mason Rudolph, short term from Richard. Well, he's down the stretch, and it looks like Mason Rudolph may be pulling away. Rooney says Mason now. Ruben says Levis. I mean, this is I think this is a product of a good question.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, you sit there, and Levis, before he got hurt, didn't play well. He threw to a ghost that was a Miami Dolphins football player.
I wish he would have thrown to a ghost because it would have gone through the ghost to the Titans receiver. Because
but that didn't help his case.
No, it only took him freaking 2 drives, really the first drive, to do the thing again, which is turn the ball over when you didn't have to do it. It's just very miserable to watch at times. And Juan saw a comment I wanted to bring up. Levis does not read the defense. All throws are predetermined. His last 2 interceptions, well, I guess the pick 6 to Jair Alexander, the D-Hop, and then last night was, absolutely was a predetermined throw and not reading the defense post-snap, but just reading the defense pre-snap, it seems. All right, so the question is very important here. Which quarterback gives the Titans the best chance to win? Just not now, not moving forward, not long-term, just flat out, which quarterback gives the Titans the best chance to win? It is obviously Mason Rudolph is my answer. Now, there's other questions that go into this because this is not a predictive question on what the Titans are going to do. But in my opinion, the quarterback that will give the Titans the best chance to win the game is Mason Rudolph, because Will Levis gives the Titans the best chance to lose the game. And when yesterday, Sam and I were going through confidence levels of what is your confidence level for the Titans to win the game against the Dolphins to not go to 0-4. I said 4 out of 10, my confidence level. Why was it so low? Going against a guy who was basically the Josh Dobbs of the Miami Dolphins, who had been there for 10 days and was going to get the start? Because Will Levis was the wild card. Will Levis could absolutely give that football game away. The Titans could win every stat known to man except for the turnover margin, and it put points directly on the Dolphins side of the scoreboard or take points off of the Titans. That's why I was at a 4. But guess what happens? The biggest wild card of the game removed himself from the situation by diving for a first down play in the first quarter and hurting his shoulder. Also, Will Levis needs to get better at not speaking so clearly with his lips, because there are 2 things we saw Will Levis say last night. I didn't see him, and I think I hurt my shoulder. So he needs to do a better job. We know he's good at poker from the offseason, but he's got to do a better job of covering up that mouth because he talks too clearly sometimes. But Will Levis removed himself from the game, and then the Titans had a better chance to win because they were not going to flirt with disaster and play with fire. And so Mason Rudolph gives the Titans the best chance to win games. That's my answer, plain and simple.
All right,
there's so many follow-ups to go, right?
Yeah, and look, it's how you take the question, right? And
yes.
This is one that you have to interpret a certain way. It's not, is the sky blue? Yes or no, right? I'm going a different direction because I think the answer is Will Levis for the Titans to win. Titans winning is contending. Titans winning is building. Titans winning is getting back to an AFC championship game. That's what the Titans winning to me represents. It's not winning and being mediocre and picking 15th. That's losing, in my opinion. So the best chance to win is Will Levis playing and either getting better or staying the same. And if he stays the same, throwing 4 touchdowns and 6 interceptions and having a QBR rating of under 30, then that actually gives the best chance for the Titans to win because they're going to be replacing him and finding a new quarterback. So
I did not answer that
that's how
question.
I am interpreting. If the Titans win, the best chance for them to win is figuring out their young quarterback, because I look at win of what is the franchise trying to accomplish.
Let me ask you this question. Let me ask it this way. And we have to act like Will Levis's shoulder is not hurt with this question, okay? If the Titans had to play a football game Sunday and they were not on the bye week and Will Levis did not hurt his shoulder, who do you trust more to get to the Titans to 2-3?
They play Indianapolis.
The goal is to get to 2-3 to win the game against the Colts. Will Levis's shoulder injury is not a factor in this question. Who because that's how I answer the question. Who gives the Titans the best chance to win? Like
Will Levis. You know why? Because you can't win games going 9 for 17 for 85 yards consistently. You won't win. So they won last night because they played a street corner quarterback that they picked up 10 days ago, and he did the best job. And you know what? Jalen Waddle drop. Overthrow for Tyreek Hill, which was a touchdown, right? Which is pretty unbelievable that he overthrew him. And then he had another streaking down the sidelines that he didn't hit Tyreek Hill. They probably goes the distance there, right? So like missed throws, that's timing. That's a lot of things. That's not an excuse. That's just what it is. But Will Levis is either going to give you and throw 2 touchdowns, which I think you could win the game. Mason Rudolph, 9 for 17 for whatever, for 85 yards, is not going to win you the game against the better team.
But Brian Callahan did the
Joe
same
Flacco
thing.
eats you for lunch. Joe Flacco and the Indianapolis Colts would outscore Mason Rudolph, I think, 10 out of 10 times.
The Colts also have like the worst rushing defense in the NFL. They gave up 1 million yards to the Packers in week 2. Look, I think, I get what you're saying, but Brian Callahan last night in Miami did the exact same thing that Josh Heupel did in the second half in Oklahoma, which was just run the football. You're going to win the game. So you just run the football, shorten the game, and don't do anything stupid. Like that was literally the game plan, because they attempted 3 passes in the second half. Attempted 4. One of them was a pass interference that extended the drive when Diop drew that penalty. But so it's not like
confidence in the backup quarterback too, or maybe lack thereof.
I just there was no point. There was no point for the Titans
to play to win the game.
Because it's that game situation, right? Like, so you're going into a game against Joe Flacco, not Tyler Huntley. You expect the Colts to be able to move the football. Now, I will say this: Tyreek Hill had 6 targets, 3 catches. The 3 targets he didn't get the catches from would have all been touchdowns if it was somebody else besides Tyler Huntley and maybe Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle. If it was 2,
and that's why I say Mason Rudolph. I think if put in a situation where the Titans have to win to actually use Mason Rudolph's talents and his arm and his decision making, that's why I kind of push back on you. I think they won the game the way that they should have won, like you said, but in a different scenario, and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
I think Will Levis has a better opportunity to throw touchdown passes. I mean, the throw that he threw to Calvin Ridley, which they stopped throwing to Calvin Ridley, apparently.
Well, that's exactly
what was an unbelievable throw that Mason Rudolph cannot make.
That I mean, I don't think he physically can't. I think he just doesn't choose to make it. So here's what I was.
That's why my answer is Will Levis.
So all right. So there are people out there that think the Titans would be 3-1 if Mason Rudolph started all the games. I am not one of those people. I think the Titans would probably be 2-2 if Mason Rudolph played in all 4 games. He played last night. They won. I think Will Levis makes plays in the first 3 games that Mason Rudolph does not choose to make, as in he doesn't throw the football to Chig in the corner of the end zone against Chicago. Mason Rudolph chooses to make a safer decision. He doesn't throw the touchdown pass to Ridley against the Jets. He chooses a safer decision. So there are things there, right? But also Mason Rudolph doesn't meme the football to the other team 3 weeks in a row. And so there are gives and takes, but I am not a Mason Rudolph would have this team 3-1 person at all. I do think here is a good analogy, because I've used the car analogy, right? Will Levis wrecked the car by running in to the neighbor's mailbox the first 2 weeks of the season. I heard somebody call into 104.5 The Zone this morning and put it greatly. It was a Super Nintendo reference. When you got the racing game, you can take the slow car and win the easy courses, because the slow car is easy to turn. You're not going to wreck it, and you're going to do well on the easy courses. But if you want to win the race on the hard courses, you got to use the fast car. The fast car, you might wreck and you might lose pretty quick, but you have no chance to win with the slow car. So last night was a easy track race for the Titans, and they took the slow car and Mason Rudolph, and they won the race.
Well, and I will give credit where credit is due, because Brian Callahan said exactly what he needed to say. And this was what it was regarding Will Levis.
That 100%. Yeah, Will's healthy. He's our quarterback. It was not a decision based on anything other than his health and protecting him, particularly with the bye week and the shoulder that didn't feel great. I didn't want to put him back out there, and I knew I was going to run the ball quite a bit. So that was really what it factored. But he's our starter when he's healthy, and we're ready to roll with him. Yeah, I mean, we'll do all the work on the precautionary stuff. I don't think it's going to be anything too serious other than just your normal AC style injury, but we'll see. I've been wrong before, so we'll wait till the MRI and all that gets done. But as of right now, I don't think it's a long-term issue for us.
All right, so Austin, you are saying that the Titans and Brian Callahan are willing to lose with the fast car.
Yeah, because they have to learn how to win with the fast car. They have to learn how to drive the fast car, because the fast car has the higher ceiling, right? But you have to understand you're going to wreck. It's a riskier move. But like, that is what Brian Callahan said. And like, there are multiple levels here, right? We asked the question. I want to get to our poll results here in a second. I see somebody has a follow-up question for me. Top Tier does, and Amnesia has a comment I want to get to as well. But we asked, which quarterback gives the Titans the best chance to win? That's all the context we added to it. Will Levis or Mason Rudolph? I said Mason Rudolph because I trust him more. I trust him more to not lose the game. And if you want to quote the great Trent Dilfer, you cannot lose games in the NFL and still win. If you remember that ESPN gem. So I think Will Levis is more likely to lose you the game than Mason Rudolph. And so you have to be able to win a game. I think Mason Rudolph gives you the best chance to win. Now, I want to update our poll on YouTube to see where people are at on this, and also take the next level in this conversation. But first, Zach, tell everybody about our great friends at Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Yeah, FBHP.com is where to go to get your health plan. They're trusted in the state of Tennessee. They're trusted by A to Z Sports. They're trusted by the Tennessee Titans, the winning Tennessee Titans after last night. The Vols, the Preds. I mean, if you are a fan of a sports team in the state of Tennessee, you don't have to be a fan of all three. Maybe it's 1 out of 3. Maybe it's 2 out of 3. Maybe it is all 3. They are trusted by Farm Bureau Health Plans of Tennessee. Health, dental, and vision. Call and get a quote today, or go online at FBHP, Farm Bureau Health Plans, FBHP.com/ATOZ. They've got 200 plus locations across the state. They've been in business over 75 years. We love Farm Bureau Health Plans of Tennessee. They've been a great partner for a number of years here on with our company and this show. Farm Bureau Health Plans of Tennessee, FBHP.com/ATOZ.
And with BetMGM, you can always win big signing up with our bonus code ATOZ Sports for up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. But if you've already done that and you're an existing user, you can log into your BetMGM account today and receive your Pro Football No Sweat token. Apply that token to the next Pro Football wager. If your bet loses, you'll receive your wager back as bonus bets. That's right. Even if your bet doesn't make it across the goal line, then you'll receive your wager back in bonus bets. Wish I could have had that token last night, because I had DeAndre Hopkins over 35.5 yards, and he had 31 yards and 2 catches in the first half, and then 0 in the second half, as the Titans had 5 passing yards in the second half. But that's how you can take advantage of all the features that BetMGM has with the Pro Football No Sweat token right there. So log into your BetMGM app today for that opportunity. So, Zach, we asked the question very blatantly, which quarterback gives the Titans the best chance to win? Levis or Rudolph? On the YouTube poll, 60% says Rudolph, 40% says Levis. So I saw Amnesia give me this comment. It says, Austin, your hate for Levis is fully showing. You've been waiting for Levis to fail since they drafted him. Rudolph put you in purgatory with no future. Why drive on that dead-end road? I wasn't asked about the dead-end road. I was asked about who gives you the best chance to win a game, and that is Mason Rudolph, because Will Levis.
No, not the game. You added the game. That's not what the question was.
That was my interpretation, as your interpretation was different. That's fine.
Right. But I just want to clarify.
But I was very clear with how I interpreted the question, which you were as well. So I interpreted it as you have a game to win. Who's going to give you the better chance to win? And I think it's Mason Rudolph, because Will Levis has 9 turnovers this year. 9, count them, 9 turnovers. You cannot. He had 1 turnover and 4 pass attempts last night before he got hurt. And so, like, what should I not be hating? Like, what should I be saying about Will Levis? Trust the process. Am I the Sixers trying to trust the process? No, dude. Like, he's giving games away. Like, yes, there is no secret. I did not think Will Levis was the right quarterback to draft. And he has shown us through the first 3+ games that he is the same quarterback that lost and fumbled the game away at Oxford, Mississippi 2 years ago. Zach, I said this yesterday. Kentucky beat Ole Miss on Saturday. They should have beat Ole Miss two years ago, but Will Levis fumbled the ball twice in the last 3 minutes, down by 3 points in field goal range. He's the same guy. He's going to do this. He's going to poke his eye out right when he has a chance to do the thing to win the game, but he does the wrong thing. And so, like, why am I hating on Will Levis? I'm just being honest on Will Levis. He hasn't been good, and he's lost you games. That's pretty clear. I don't know how else to say it. 9 turnovers.
I think to counterpoint that, Will Levis has shown at times that he can win games, but he's shown you more that he's more of a liability than an asset. And that, I think, is the issue this early in the season of why are they 1-3? I think I could simply state they are 1-3 because Will Levis is more of a liability than an asset.
Right now.
Go back to business school, go back to college, whatever you want to say. That is what it represents. Liabilities are not good. Assets are good. And what you, I think, are arguing with the Mason Rudolph is more of an asset than a liability. Now, how good or great is your asset, right? How high is your ceiling? Mason Rudolph, we know his ceiling, it's lower. It's going to put, to the commenter's point, the Titans back in purgatory, which they're not going to, which that cannot happen. But what Will Levis has to learn, and this is what I hope and wish, and I think a lot of Titans do, is that he finally learned his lesson, because he got put in timeout last night. And he could have gotten out of timeout, but the teacher said no.
Yeah.
And the teacher didn't say that you're in infinite timeout and you're not coming back out. He literally, Brian Callahan got him out of timeout the second that it hit 000, right? I mean, Will Levis is the starting quarterback. But I think that was a lesson. Brian Callahan did that for numerous reasons. There was no reason to put Will Levis back in because Mason Rudolph wasn't losing the game, right? Like, no, he was only helping. He was scoring points, right?
Yeah,
so don't go back to something that doesn't score points. Your starting quarterback's hurt, and this is an opportunity to teach somebody something.
Guys, they ran the ball 40 times. Like, they had 62 snaps on offense. They ran the ball 40 times. Like, Will Levis was going to hand off. And I will say, here's another thing. Ramon Foster said this, and Ramon Foster, former offensive lineman, knows, and he was on the sideline for Titans radio last night. He said he noticed when Mason Rudolph was in the game, immediately the Dolphins defense changed pre-snap. The box lightened. The box got it, like, they stepped back a little bit because they thought that, okay, Rudolph is going to be able to diagnose better what we're going to send, right? With that experience of Rudolph alone changed how the Dolphins played pre-snap on defense. And so they were able to run the ball very effectively when Mason Rudolph came in the game. Now, I still think they would have won the game if Levis played the whole time and didn't get hurt. So I also want to make that very clear. And I also want to make something else very clear too, because I said this yesterday and I've said this ever since the Panthers benched Bryce Young, that the Titans should not follow the Panthers' footsteps. Do not bench Will Levis for performance. If he doesn't play because of injury, that's completely different. But Will Levis is not going to put you in quarterback purgatory. Mason Rudolph will. So to Amnesia's comment, calling me a Will Levis hater, I don't want the Titans to be in quarterback purgatory. That's boring. That sucks. That's not going to get you very far.
And Andy Dalton will do that to the Carolina Panthers.
Dalton, but here's the difference, and I haven't told you this, Zach, because we haven't had this conversation. Dave Canales is the Panthers head coach. He is dealing with a very emotional David Tepper as an owner who has fired coaches after 1 year. Brian Callahan's not dealing with the same owner. Brian Callahan's not getting fired regardless of what happens on the football field this season. David Tepper might. You never know. So Dave Canales is proving himself. Say, it's not my fault. Look, I did it with Andy Dalton. It's Bryce Young's fault, who you drafted before I got here. So that is what Canales is proving. Brian Callahan, different boat. But they cannot be the Panthers. If Will Levis is healthy enough to play, he 100% should be the Titans quarterback, because he's not going to put you in purgatory, whether he's good and earns it or he's not good and you don't find yourself drafting between pick 12 and 18.
And the criticism of Will Levis, I think, and I saw this comment, Devarte Turner. I think this is the sentiment of the entire Titans fan base, that Will Levis panics. There's nothing worse than somebody that panics, right? Especially under pressure, right? I mean, and what does football represent? What does pro football represent? A ton of pressure, whether it's pressure from TJ Watt or Nick Bosa or Micah Parsons, that's pressure, or mental and emotional pressure. But both, I think this comment represents that Will Levis panics. And that is a terrible attribute that Will Levis has.
Yes.
He panics.
He does.
And he does dumb stuff to hurt the football team.
Yes. And by the way, shout out L'Jarius Sneed, who decided to make up for Jeff missing the game to do a dumb thing to hurt the team and give up a 15-yard penalty. So Pat the Barber says,
you brought this up. No. I have to say this. Because I tweeted this out because I was so pissed. And this I will give. There's criticism to coaches. All right, coach your players. Okay, what in the hell is Arden Key not doing, running all the way to the other end of the field? Your team sucks. Your team blows. You're 0-3. You hadn't won a game. You're at the bottom of the league. You don't get the ability to look around and wait for the ref to blow the whistle. You run your ass to the other end of the field and you make and force the refs to make a call. That is a problem. And that needs to be up on the big board. I don't know if they have today off, but that needs to be on the big board. That drove me crazy because that is paying attention to the details. And when you have bad teams, they turn to stop paying attention to the details. It's what, honestly, Antonio Pierce said about the Raiders last week, making business decisions because they were getting their ass beat, right? The Titans cannot make those decisions. They have to play towards the whistle. That did really irritate.
Well, here's the thing. The whistle did blow. And I did not hear it in real time, but Cody, he gave up looking around before the whistle was blown. That was crazy. But Slade Dale says refs waved the arms. It's blown dead. Wouldn't matter if he ran it back or not. Cooper says they already blew the whistle. But I regardless, you still do it.
The ref was looking around, at least on the screen. I was not there. You were not there. We were not there, right? And it may have happened. At least the ref on the screen was not doing this. He was looking, and go back and watch the damn replay. He was looking at Arden Key while Arden Key was looking around himself. Just play it like you would play it. That's what needs to be coached.
Because the referees are coached to let things play out as long as they can, because they can always go back and change something. So especially when a turnover is involved, all turnovers are reviewed. So what referees side on the err on the side of caution is let the turnover happen and let it play out, and then it can automatically go be fixed. But if they don't let it play out, it can't be fixed. So if
they're going to use replay to their advantage every time
takes off sprinting on the sideline for a touchdown, then there is a clear and obvious score on that, and the refs are more likely to not blow the whistle if Arden Key doesn't hesitate. Arden Key hesitated and being like, I don't know what happened. Was it a forward pass? If you just take off and go, the ref's going to not blow the whistle, let it play out, and figure it out after the fact.
And nobody gets mad at a player that, even if the whistle is blowing, is running towards the end zone, right? Because that's the smart, heady, experienced play. Like, that's a well-coached play by a player. And so that was my side thing, because those are the details. The Chiefs can not do that and be fine and still win the game, because they have the players to win the game. The Titans have a quarterback that panics. They can't afford to do that. No doubt. That was my 2 cents on that.
All right. I was going to get to something else, but now I forgot. Top tier ask a question for Austin. Do you think Levis is the guy, or you just can't decide yet? Just curious. I'm not going to answer that question yet, because we've got a bye week to take care of, and we got a lot of content to fill during this bye week. Because I think here's the Tennessee Titans just became very interesting. And I think that is a good thing for you guys, because this team shows life. I think why so many people were upset is because the first 2 games were lost when they had the win. They had an opportunity to win, and they lost it by giving the game away. This team is better. I think the roster collected is better than 1-3. They are 1-3 because of the mistakes that they've made. And it's not just the quarterback. Special teams are a problem. The defense was a problem against the Packers, and the coaching can be better, but they're doing it for the first time. So there is opportunity to grow here. But I do want to go ahead and get to some super chats, unless you have something else to add.
Yeah, I want to say this, because the rest of the week, I will get mine out of the way. I'm almost, Austin, and this is probably an overreaction Monday/Tuesday thought, but Austin, I kind of think that the Colts is a must-win game. Because they go to Buffalo. Yeah, they go to Buffalo and go to Detroit, that are probably going to terrorize them. They are going to get their brains beat out. The Lions can score at will, whether it's their dual running back system, or their wide receivers, or their linebackers making heady plays. Like, the Lions are good, which that hasn't been said in a long time, besides last year. And the Bills, I thought the best thing about the Bills early in their season is they've been tested by good teams, and they've been forced to kind of play above their means. They got an experienced quarterback. I mean, this early in the season, it's sad to say, but Indy is the season. Zach, they're not making the playoffs if they lose to Indianapolis.
Zach, the Colts game in week 6 at home after the bye was a must-win game when the schedule came out in May.
That is an extreme.
No, it is not. No, it is not. When you saw the first 4 games and you saw the early bye, it was a must-win game. Like,
that was what you were preaching to me when you picked them to win 9 games.
Yes, it was. Like, the Colts, like, I have been steadfast on this ever since the schedule came out. You have to beat the Colts in week 6 at home. Like, it has been a must-win game ever since the schedule was released, because of what the first 4 games were representing of opponents.
You go 1-6, and you're drafting a new quarterback. If you're 1-6, that's what you're starting to look at.
Super chats to get to, a lot of comments, but first, the Bone and Joint Institute is where you should turn. And guys, I just got this on the schedule. We will do a Doc Talk conversation tomorrow on Wednesday afternoon to discuss the AC joint injury to Will Levis. So the Bone and Joint Institute Doc Talk coming tomorrow afternoon for the AC joint. We'll find out what the timeline is, what limitations is Will Levis having, how does this injury happen, and learn more about the AC joint. I don't think we've done an AC joint Doc Talk with the Bone and Joint Institute since we've been partners for the last few years. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know where to turn to and who to trust. That is the folks at the Bone and Joint Institute in Franklin, right off of I-65 and Highway 96. They can do everything under that one roof right there, testing, imaging. They've also got clinics, rehab facility, surgery center, and more, and all the experts they have right there. So boneandjointtn.org is where to book an appointment.
A to Z Sports powered by BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app today. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports. The sportsbook born in Vegas is in Tennessee. So you take advantage this week. You got college football on the horizon. You got Thursday night football. Bucks and Baker against Kirk Cousins. That would be a pretty damn good game, in my opinion. I am biased, but you can get betting right there with the bonus code ATOZ Sports at BetMGM.
All right, super chats to get here. And we also have throwing shades. Zach said he had a controversial shade, and I'm going to throw a football shade. Not what you might expect, though. I'm curious what Zach's controversial shade is going to be. Super chats to start us, though. Noah, big one, comes in. I made the comment last night about Will needing to be a game manager, and I believe there are those who don't want that. Just so everyone knows, the best quarterbacks ever were talented game managers who knew where to pick their spots. I mean, I agree. Like, managing the game is the number one job of the quarterback, regardless if you're Tom Brady or Trent Dilfer.
That's not Will Levis. Like, he's right a gunslinger. No. I think that is who he is. Will Levis is more like Jay Cutler, right? Jay Cutler is not a game manager. Jay Cutler is going to throw the ball either 60-yard rocket to Brandon Marshall, or he's going to throw it to the other team. Like, that's who they drafted.
I agree. He is who he is, but he has to manage. Like, Jay Cutler and Brett Favre managed the games at times. Like, they weren't just always doing crazy stuff. Like, they did have boring games at times. Not a lot, but those are the two great examples of guys who managed the games the least but had the most success. But yes, like, I agree with Noah's comment overall. I think it's a pretty strong comment. King VC says, lock in, like the show. Yes, please. If you haven't hit the like button yet on Facebook and on YouTube, please do that. That goes a long way for us. Kick it the King says, Will Levis is a meme. You're going to tank. The question is which backup is with which backup QB, Mason or Will. The next INT Levis throws just might get stuck in the defender's face mask. Also, Tavondre Sweat bullied Brewer. Yeah, Tavondre Sweat was a badass last night. And Jeffrey Simmons wasn't there, so we all got to watch 93 do work.
I want to say on that first sentence, Will Levis is a meme. That is a negative thing. He's bringing negative energy, internet energy, to the Tennessee Titans franchise. Does that matter? Does that win or lose you games? No, not on the field. But it's not good to be the laughing stock or the guy they're all pointing at and the guy that Barstool's writing about, right? That it's that because the Tennessee Titans don't need that. The Tennessee Titans, that's like the Arizona Cardinals, right? Or the Jacksonville Jaguars. And this is going to hurt a lot of people's feelings and egos, but that's what the national perception of what the Tennessee Titans are. They're in the same pot as those franchises and far away from, look, the Cowboys are a meme, right? They can't win a playoff game or, go to the NFC Championship game in 20 plus years and they still think they're great every year, but they still win games, right? They're not bottom of the barrel laughing stock. And that's where I think Will Levis is doing something negative for the franchise.
Levis is a joke outside of Nashville. He was the joke outside of Lexington, Kentucky. Like, he was. Like, we all know that. We both went to SEC schools. Will Levis was a joke outside of Lexington. Everybody made fun of it. The mayo, the bananas, the stupid TikToks, all the things. And he's been the same exact thing.
Continued that.
Yes. And now he's making money on the side because of the mayo stuff. So I don't necessarily blame him for that. if he's not going to get a $60 million contract for being a quarterback, you might as well get some Mayo money.
Yeah.
I'm not going to blame a player for earning money in the offseason from an endorsement. I will blame Nicholas Petit-Frere for becoming a fantasy football analyst in the season.
Well, I think it's a mindset, right? So what are you concentrating on? Like opportunity is valuable, but you know what the number one opportunity is? Winning football games and being a starting quarterback, right? And I think my approach would be, if I was in a situation like that, is probably push the brakes on the endorsements until you prove something. I would take that approach. Regardless.
I still think it's like you can't control when the endorsements come calling. So take it when it happens. Like that's kind of what I feel like. I'm not telling athletes to take money out of their pockets when an opportunity presents itself in the offseason.
The Mayo is a gag.
You're
a gag. You're a gag endorsement, Austin.
I get it.
You're not sitting here endorsing State Farm with Aaron Rodgers and Chris Paul and LeBron. And like, it's not that type of endorsement. You got to remember, this is a gag endorsement. You are a joke within the
gag
endorsement.
Money though. Like again,
but that's why I don't take that approach.
I understand. I'm just saying I wouldn't personally, but I'm not going to hate on a guy for doing it in the summer. Like
it's during the season. The fragrance came out right before the season.
Yeah, but he didn't all the stuff that was done, all the work was done in the summer though, Zach. Like
don't do that. You're setting yourself up because you're gonna look even worse if you're 1-3 and all you're doing is turning the football over because it's a gag.
Okay. Anyway, we can move forward. Tight Up Ohio says Rudolph didn't win the game last night. Tajay and Tony did. Give Levis one more game to prove he's the starter. If he blows it, run it with Rudolph.
I want to say something because now I'm involved in this because Guy Man says, Zach, you can't tell this man how to make his money. No, I can't. But it doesn't mean that I can't criticize him. I don't tell strippers how they can make their money. Doesn't mean I can't criticize their line of work. Like, let's just be honest. Like, yes, he can do whatever he wants, but criticism comes, especially when you're in the limelight and how you're making that money. Again, that would not be my approach, but I'm not sitting here telling him how to do it. I'm giving him some probably suggestions on how you are perceived because perception is important when you're endorsing things and you're playing football, which is one of the most critical sport in America, right? I mean, NFL football is the most critical sport in America. And you are playing the position that is criticized the most out of any position in the country. So I think there's some self-awareness there. You can make as much money as you want. You can sell yourself on the side of the street. I don't give a damn. It just know that there's going to be criticism coming with it.
Yeah, he's in a position where if he's slightly above average, he gets $40+ million a year through his 20s, right? Like that's the situation he's in. King VC says, if Levis can learn from this game on how Mason played the game, it's Levis. But if he can't, then it's Mason. Talking about which quarterback to move forward. Yeah, and Zach, you mentioned this early in today's show. This could be the best thing to ever happen to Will Levis if it's approached the right way by Will Levis, if he uses the opportunity the appropriate way. Andre says Mason can do just enough to ensure they can't draft a QB in 2025, which is a good thing. Then Levis can stink up enough for Arch or Nico in 2026. Eureka! Andre figured it out. And Mija says Titans fans are in win but forget tomorrow mode. Would you rather struggle now with Levis and watch him grow or win a few games and struggle next season? Like I think I am in play Will Levis when healthy mode all season long because the number one objective of the year is to know the definitive answer on Will Levis's future. That's the number one objective is not to make the playoffs. It's to find out Will Levis.
Well, when you talk about young quarterbacks, and let's look around, we feel pretty good about CJ Stroud, right? You feel pretty good about Jaden Daniels. Those two guys are off to really good starts. Bryce Young and Will Levis and Anthony Richardson, it's going to take a lot for them to get back in the same conversation and in the same breath as Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
It's like when you know, it doesn't mean you can't like, you're not going to have that much time.
No, he's got this is it. Like Sam's done the homework. This is it. Like quarterbacks drafted in year 2, you get a season and a half at max. You have to prove it by the end of your second year playing. And that's what Will Levis is currently sitting in. All right. Andre says the lyrics of Tracy Chapman's song Fast Car perfectly describes the relationship between the Titans and Will Levis. Take that for what it's worth. Yeah, not bad. So Curtis C comes in, says, please, no more Levis pregame speeches. He sucks at that too. I didn't see that.
Did you? Oh, so you didn't hear it?
No, I did not.
It gives off you're just trying too hard. When I believe that if you are a true leader, you're just a leader. And the way you act, the way you talk, the way you speak, the way you play, the way you coach, you're just a leader. And you're not trying, right? It's somebody who is trying to be cool is never cool, right? You're just cool.
Can I read you something, Zach? I want to read you something because back in the off season, our own Zach Reagan wrote something on A2ZSports.com. It was 15 truths the NFL teams are failing to acknowledge, something like that. And he had one for the Titans. And his leading line to make his point was Will Levis is an actor trying to play a quarterback. Will Levis seems like a good dude, seems like he really, really wants to be successful in the NFL, but I'd be shocked if he ever goes beyond the divisional round of the playoffs. I'd be really surprised if he even wins a playoff game. Levis feels like an actor playing a quarterback. It seems like he's always trying to say the right thing and act the right way instead of just being himself. I don't think we've seen the real Will Levis yet, and I'm not even sure Levis knows who the real Will Levis is yet. He's too much of a pleaser to be an elite quarterback, and that's ultimately going to prevent him from being a franchise quarterback in Nashville. He has all the physical tools, but until he plays free and easy without worrying about what people think, he'll fail to reach his potential. How about that? That there could not be any more truer words spoken. Like, holy bleep. That is a predictive. I'll give you the date on when that thing was published. That would be March 17th. So that was like free agency. How about March 17th? Call your shot, Zach Reagan.
It's true so far. It's exact so far.
Okay. So more super chats before that could have been a walk-off, but we'll keep on going. Connor says Rudolph calmed down the offense a bit and brought more operation in the moment. Levis is giving me less hope as the weeks goes on. Sweat is a minute, so some more T'Vondre Sweat love. Look, we've got a bye week and more to talk about T'Vondre Sweat and how he looked there too. Dre the Barber says he separated his AC joint his senior year, hurt like hell, but was able to play the next week. Throwing may be different. Yeah, throwing shoulder, AC joint. We'll just have to see. And look, we got a doc talk coming out tomorrow afternoon on a Wednesday from the Bone and Joint Institute that we'll be able to dive into that overall. Eduardo says, FY on another podcast, the chat says A to Z rides Levis. Look, I mean, there are 5 people that talk regularly on A to Z Sports about Will Levis on every week. It's the 2 of us, Buck Rising, Sam Phelan, and Easton Freeze. We all have very differing opinions on Will Levis. So
rides in like rides good or rides bad?
Him like as in we ride him too good.
Oh, that we ride him that he's good.
Yes, that we are excusing Will Levis. I think if there's a spectrum, Sam is the furthest on the Will Levis is going to be the guy. Just wait, just be patient. And I'm on the bottom of it. Like, I'm the anti-Will Levis. Sam is most pro-Will Levis. And then you, Easton, and Buck are probably, I don't know what order is in between. I just know the polar opposites. So, look, there is no A to Z stance on Will Levis. It is all about our individual opinions on the Titans quarterback right now. However, I do believe all five of us think that the Titans quarterback moving forward when healthy is Will Levis. And that's the right decision by the franchise, regardless of what we think about the player or not.
Well, and the fear creeping is what I said before. When you know, you knew Joe Burrow was that dude, right? You know, and you know what? We're starting to creep in, questioning Trevor Lawrence, right? Not having it, and questioning Anthony Richardson not having it because he can't stay healthy. Bryce Young. I mean, you want to be in the CJ Stroud, Jaden Daniels. I don't know if you watched the Commanders. And I bet on the damn Cardinals, and that was stupid because Jaden Daniels made my bet look awful, just completely awful. Trashed them. Arizona came down and scored to start, and that's all that they did the entire time. Daniels ripped them apart, and the Commanders, weirdly, they've got offensive weapons like they do, and with his movement and his ability able to escape pressure and stay cool and calm and not panic, he's been impressive so far. So we'll see.
All right. Look, a lot of talk, but hey, the Titans won a game, right? 31-12, the win over the Dolphins. The Titans scored 30 for the first time since January 2nd, 2022. So it was 38 games between 30-point performances for the Titans, and they got that done. Brian Callahan's first win. So overall, the Titans are in a good spot going into a bye week with a lot of drama and conversation to continue to be had about the quarterback position and about the team. Zach, we're going to go ahead and get to the shade. I've got football shade. I've got broadcast shade to throw, and it's not just at one network or one league. I got broadcast shade to throw. So throwing shade. If you've got shade, throw it, bring it on. Zach, I know you said you had some controversial shade. So here we go. Throwing shade to wrap up this Tuesday. Shout out to our friends at Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. If you're looking for a new ride, go see our friend Payne Bone and his team in Lebanon, Tennessee. Save some money on that car ride by going I-40 East outside of downtown, WilsonCountyHyundai.com. So, you want me to go with my shade first?
Yeah, you go with your shade.
My shade. So last Tuesday, I threw some preemptive shade on the split screening during the dual Monday Night Football games, as we are all choosing to watch Titans Dolphins, yet they will not stop shoving Seahawks Lions in our face.
I'm watching it, bud. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm watching it. I have an iPad. I have this thing locked in. I'm watching the game. I don't need to watch it on my screen. There's another TV that I'm watching it on, right? Like,
so that is that is not my shade. That was my predictive shade from last week, and it became true. We all knew it was going to happen. Now, Demetrius has some really good shade I want to get to as well regarding the broadcast. But my shade is on football broadcasts. For whatever reason, will not stop using the Skycam on kickoff plays. Like, the audience watching on TV, we cannot see anything when you use the Skycam. It looks cool for the kick, right? Like, follow the kicker, boom. As soon as that thing is in the air, go back to the regular screen so we can watch and see what the runner's doing. Because if you just keep it with a Skycam on the return, he's running right at you. You have no vantage point on what the hell is going to happen. It's the dumbest thing that football broadcasts do. And they continue to do it every week, whether it's ESPN, CBS, Fox, NBC, college football, NFL. I don't get it. Stop, for the love of everything, using the Skycam on kickoffs. We can't see anything. Do you agree?
I never actually even thought about that.
It drives me insane. I tweet about it probably once a weekend. I did not yesterday.
It doesn't irritate me. It may now that I know.
It will.
I'll look for
I'm
it.
sorry.
But I haven't noticed it. I've noticed that they do it, but it hasn't irritated me, I guess.
Yeah.
I expect it never to go back.
Yeah.
like to go back to
Demetrius,
the house.
Demetrius says, shade on Chris Fowler of ESPN. We get it, dude. You do not want to broadcast the Titans-Dolphins game. I agree with this. Chris Fowler, dude, you're becoming insufferable. You are one of the most talented people in the industry. You have been so good for decades. But all of a sudden, you've got your nose so far up in the air, you can smell Will Levis' cologne from the sideline.
Yeah, that's why Aaron Judge doesn't play in minor leagues. He just got done broadcasting the best game in college football, maybe in a long, long time, but over the weekend at Alabama. And now he gets two backup quarterbacks.
You know what, Chris Fowler? You're compensated just well, right? Like, cry us a freaking river. Like,
you
that's
get to that point, though, and
so don't do it. So don't sign the contract, right? He signed the contract to do Monday Night Football games for ESPN on the NFL. And he signed a contract to do the best ESPN college football games on Saturday night. That's your decision, Chris Fowler.
Maybe he didn't want to do that, though. No, maybe that was negotiated. Maybe that was ESPN leveraging and forcing him to do that because they didn't want to pay anybody else because they fired everyone else.
So do something else. So you don't have to do it.
No, that's a part of his contract. He's upholding his contract. I'm looking at it through a different lens.
But like, Chris Fowler has made so much money, I think Chris Fowler might have the best job in sports media. He prepares for 2 games and gets to call, and it's not even 2 games. Like, he only does like Monday Night Football like 3 times a year max. Like, he gets the best college. He doesn't do college game day anymore. He shows up on Saturday night in the best game ESPN has that week and does a college football broadcast with Kirk Herbstreit. Like, it's a walk in the damn park. And he's earned that.
And he gets all expense trip pays to Australia and France.
He does
and
tennis,
New York,
and Wimbledon.
And
like,
Wimbledon,
he does
right?
all of it. Like, dude, get over yourself, man. It's like his audience are people that would love to do that. And he is just sitting there talking down on how his job sucks. So, fair shade from Demetrius.
All right, Just Smash says, throwing shade, guy at work taking credit for the work that he's done while he gets to keep his position because of it. He wrecked a company vehicle, and I've been covering for him.
So Just Smash is Mason Rudolph, and his coworker is Will Levis.
Yeah, that's tough scene right there. Let's see here. Shade. There's Chris Frazier shade. So now we've really got a Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, everybody.
Days because we hadn't had Chris Frazier. I hadn't had Chris Frazier shade in a while. All right, I'm going to get to my shade. Let's see. Shade at the refs from almost flushing the game away for the Titans yesterday. I don't necessarily know that. Let's see. Bunch of this is Titan shade. I'm going to get to my shade. Here, I'll get Patrick. I actually agree with this. Shade on Fox for letting Greg Olsen for Brady. Olsen is much better. I actually agree. Tom Brady is slightly improving week by week, but he's not great. Like,
but like, he's not a natural like speaker like this.
Well, let's see if he ascends instead of like Tony Romo started out like, oh my gosh, he's so good, and he's kind of gone the other direction. All right,
Brady's gonna be better.
Here's my controversial shade. Okay. First, and I want to pay my respects because somebody died. Well, 2 people died, which unfortunately means that a third is going to die.
No, it's already happened. Chris Christopherson.
Oh, so that was the first. Chris Christopherson was the first, then Dikembe Mutombo, and then Pete Rose. So here goes to my shade. Deal with me. Let's pay our respects to Pete Rose. This is not real. Okay. I just want to say this is not real, but it does prove the point of why everybody's up in arms, because this would be something that Major League Baseball would do by using the code Pete Rose to get $1,000 off insurance, right? So that's not a real tweet. That's a joke tweet. But here's my shade. Here's my Pete Rose opinion. And I thought about this before the show. I was like, I don't know when else we're going to talk about Pete Rose. You talk about Pete Rose when he passes away. It's relevant. It all kind of connects. I agree with Major League Baseball with not allowing him into the Hall of Fame while he is alive. Right now that he is passed, I have no problem in allowing him into the Hall of Fame. I believe, and I am a firm proponent of when mistakes are made, whether they are intentional or whether they are not intentional. Punishment comes with those. There is right and there is wrong. There is good and there is bad. And I believe, based on Pete Rose betting on baseball, which at the time was a no-no. Now, the laws have changed. You used to be able to marry girls under 18 years old. You can't do that anymore, right? The laws have changed.
You used to be able to smoke on airplanes. I thought you were going to go with that one.
Laws have changed, right? There you go. A lot of laws have changed, right? You can't smoke on airplanes. Doesn't mean you can smoke on airplanes now, right? So I understand why people are saying that Major League Baseball is hypocritical, but the laws have changed. The one thing is, he broke the law, which was a very big rule. You don't bet on baseball. And he was a great player, right? As far as person, I didn't know Pete Rose. I mean, you heard stories, but it's sad that he passed away. But now, every punishment eventually comes to an end. And some punishments come to an end once one passes. So my question to you, Austin, is do you agree or disagree with my take that Pete Rose should not have, he is a Hall of Fame baseball player. There's no doubt about that, right? On the field, he meets all of the criteria, in the words of Isaiah Thomas, but he was not chosen. Now, I believe you can choose him that he is passed. His punishment has been served. That's my take.
I don't care. Like, I think
that's why I said it at the beginning.
Yeah. You're like, I don't know if Austin's going to care. I don't care. I don't. Now baseball's got rules of like, you get this 15-year window to make it. Now, what's the rule on the after you pass opportunity to vote him in? I don't know. I don't know how that works with Major League Baseball and their Hall of Fame.
And to this, Mike says he should be in along with steroid era guys. And I believe what the Hall of Fame should do is create a category. And this is a category. It's a shameful category, but you do the crime, you do the time. And Pete Rose should be in the section of the Hall of Fame that is with Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa and Roger Clemens, even though Roger Clemens will deny it. Barry Bonds, even though Barry Bonds will deny it. Andy Pettit.
The Asterisk Center?
The Asterisk Center. Absolutely, right? And it could be sponsored by Pfizer, whatever, right? So like that needs to be a section, and Pete Rose can be in that section. So that's my baseball Hall of Fame take for somebody that is not a massive baseball fan, but also understands that like Barry Bonds was the greatest baseball player I've ever seen in my life. I don't think anybody's going to surpass him. I mean, Shohei Ohtani's doing his best, but like Barry Bonds hitting 73 home runs was electric. It was must-see television for baseball at that time. He cheated to do that. I'm not going to see that. Put him in a separate room, the Asterisk Center. I absolutely love it.
You're welcome. Matt says it was a lifetime ban, and he served his sentence for Pete Rose.
Well said, right? Life's over. He's now in the afterlife.
It's not an afterlife ban for the Major League Baseball, but
so there you go.
I think the other thing too is somebody said that like Dikembe Mutombo got overshadowed by Pete Rose, and I do think that sucks because like I'm a basketball person way more than a baseball person. There's no doubt about that. But everything you hear about Dikembe Mutombo is how awesome of a person that guy is. Anybody that has a Dikembe Mutombo story, it's like the best story you've ever heard. And we didn't get a chance to like allow that to breathe because Dikembe Mutombo passed away at age 58 from brain cancer. Like Pete Rose passed away in his 80s because he was in his 80s, and I don't know what other complications created this situation, but I did see that he was in the Middle Tennessee area over the weekend, which is kind of ironic. And he passed the day after. He was in Franklin, Tennessee on Sunday. But Dikembe Mutombo, great human, doesn't get the airtime after he passed at a young age from a bad disease because Pete Rose passed away hours afterward. That sucks.
Timing. Yeah, I agree. And that can't do anything about it.
No.
But Dikembe Mutombo should be known as a great person, or at least that's what the stories that were told. And I believe in life, you are what your actions show that you are. And Pete Rose's actions showed who he was. O.J. Simpson's actions showed who he was. And Dikembe Mutombo showed the actions that he was. That's what I think we need to remember them by. And so I'm glad you brought Mr. No up in a good light.
Orlando says, Jesus got his shot blocked. No.
You see that clip of Michael Jordan at the All-Star game, and they're arguing, Dikembe saying that, Jordan, you've never gotten me. All right, and Jordan's like, yeah, I have. Or whatever. They're arguing back and forth. This is at the All-Star game. Go look it up. It's a great clip.
Yeah.
And they're, Jordan is kind of, and they're like, let's go get Scotty. And Jordan's like, you don't need to go get Scotty. We don't need to get Scotty involved. And they're going back and forth. And Jordan's like, I'll get you again just to prove it. And then it switches scenes and it goes later that season. And it's a clip of Jordan just hammering on Dikembe Mutombo when he notoriously does that. And it's just set up so perfectly of Michael Jordan doing Michael Jordan things of, I'm telling you I'm going to beat you, and then beating you, and then telling you I told you I was going to beat you. So look that up if you haven't looked it up. It's really good.
And I took that personally, clearly. Yeah. All right, that's it for us on this Tuesday. The Titans are 1-3. Great conversation on the show. Make sure you hit the like button before you head out of here. Like the show before you go. Brian Callahan does have a press conference later on today. Sam will have a Titans at 2 video up on YouTube and Facebook after the fact. We've got Buck Rising live tonight for A to Z Sports Primetime and a Doc Talk segment coming Wednesday. So lots of things to help us get our bye week kicked off. We'll catch you guys on a Wednesday morning. Appreciate it as always.
Adios.